Honour Honor Tato. Whaniye, Huye, Tai.
Yeah. Kia ora, Cody. Thank you very much. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to members of the public. Looking forward to hearing from you in the public forum session, which will be coming up soon. Really good to see you. Thank you for media and lots of staff that have showed up today. I've said morena to most of you, so thank you for coming over to Hawea. Special welcome to Mike, Chief Executive of QLDC, who's sitting as the representative of the executive leadership team today. So welcome, Mike. Councillor Smith, as always, attends as Councillor and Deputy Mayor. Welcome. Quinton, noting that he's not formally part of the board and won't be any voting, but we appreciate his insights and guidance during our deliberations. The meeting will be recorded, so I'll just make a note of that. Before I move on, I just would like to acknowledge the passing of a young man riding his bike on Saturday. It's affected the community around that. We're very, very sad for that to happen. We look after our members of our community, and sometimes one gets away, and we just acknowledge that passing. I've sent condolences via the Japanese consulate around that, so I'm hoping that gets to the family. No apologies for the meeting today, but leave of absence requests are available open now. You want to weigh over next 6 weeks?
Right, to the 12th of August, please, Mr. Chair.
Anybody else?
Yeah, 30th to the 22nd of July.
Yeah, the 22nd of July. Yes, exactly. Very good. Well, I'll move then that the 2 leaves of absences requests are approved. So all those anyone want to second that? Thank you, Linda. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carry that. Thank you very much. Go to the next page. Conflicts of interest. Got a couple of things on the agenda. Anyone want to note any conflicts with what we're going to be discussing today? No one part of the Lakes District Arts Trust or anything, Chris?
We were just discussing that actually as to whether
Maybe you want to just note the fact that you are on that trust and that will be part of
Linda's involved in it as well, but
Chris is the council representative, I'm a trustee, so we're just checking with my district.
I think it's just acknowledged that it's probably fine.
So we just acknowledge that we will be talking about an art sculpture of which the Arts Trust has a role in there. Linda is a trustee and Chris is the council appointed member to that trust. Thank you. No matters lying on the table, therefore we'll get straight into the public forum. And Barbara, where's Barbara? Welcome, Barbara. Thanks for coming on. We've had a lot of communication with Barbara over the last few weeks and encourage you to come along and talk about, I believe, sports fields. So come up and have a seat, Barbara. And as we have with standing orders, the typical time frame is around about 3 minutes for us to hear from you, and hopefully we'll have a chance for a couple of questions as well. So the floor is yours, Barbara. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I sit or stand?
You're welcome. Well, I'd love you to sit. That would feel a little bit more relaxed for me. But yes.
Well, to find 3 minutes is the time is a bit of a shock because I've got something a bit longer than that. So I'll try and summarise what I've done. I wish to share with you, and thank you for the opportunity, by the way, about our submission, and I mean on behalf of athletics, cricket and rugby, football, cricket and athletics.
Yes.
Our submission involves accepting option 1 on the latest long-term plan and with an additional proviso which I want to discuss here at this level meeting. There have been extensive discussions amongst relevant sports bodies and QLDC over the past 7 years regarding the ever-increasing shortage of quality sports fields and the difficulty it imposes on major sports codes in the Upper Clutha area to cater for sporting needs of the community. It applies particularly to football, cricket and athletics, which have different requirements and make unavoidable sharing of limited sports field resources even more problematic and difficult to execute in practice. The situation is only going to get worse as Wānaka continues to grow at a rapid rate. The concept of a multi-sports facility hub was enthusiastically supported, and it was agreed that it be incorporated in the 2021-31 long-term plan. Surprisingly, the draft of the 2021 2024-34 long-term plan shows that the timeline regarding the development of the sports hub concept at Valentine Road had been altered substantially in favour of Queenstown Event Centre projects. Reactions from football, cricket and athletics were critical of this major change. And Simon Battrick's response stating that the plans for this development were always going to be later rather than sooner is incorrect, as the original official documents can testify. I speak on behalf of football, cricket and athletics, and while we all support option 1 on the latest long-term plan, we are also including in our joint submission a request to formally review the funding allocation and timing schedule of the 2024-2034 long-term plan in respect to the Valentine Road project.
We're going to keep you moving along there.
Yeah,
Yep.
sure. With the increase in rates being suggested to be 15%, the Wānaka floodlights, although welcome, does not address the main issue of developing future sporting facilities. Wānaka deserves more than just a set of floodlights. Imagine the state of the grounds after even more use under floodlights and the length of time it would take to get these fields to a safe enough condition so they can be used for summer sports, already pushed out at the start of November. Having experienced the poor development of 3 parks with its minimum investment in its infrastructure, namely poor drainage, poor placement of irrigation controllers, inadequate subsoil, resulting in fragile grass cover, no storage, no changing facilities, no club rooms, limited maintenance, it is essential that any development at Valentine Road is carefully planned and create a quality multi-sporting hub. It is imperative that this project at Valentine Road is progressed, hence our submission. And basically that's my...
Right. What I'm going to ask you to do is you put a lot of work into that document,
Yeah.
and see, would you mind forwarding that to me, and then I'll share that amongst everyone else, because there's some detail in there.
Yeah.
Sports fields in the Upper Clutha are really front of mind for councillors and the community board, and I can guarantee there's been lots of conversations where, you know, we're following up with staff, we're having direct relationships with developers to try and move things along, so it's all happening, but from the coalface or the turf that you can share, that some of those insights will be really, really valuable. Could I also ask that you share your long-term plan submission to us maybe in advance as well, or even a draft? We are putting towards, the community board is putting its own submission in, and one of the key areas that we will be speaking about is the paucity of sports fields here as well. And we'd like to support other people's submissions as well. So if you don't have John Wellington's email address, John is going to be drafting that aspect of our submission. It'll have a number of different facets, but sports fields is one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand it, but I'm also, my focus is also getting the timetable promoted from where it got to back to where it was in the last long-term plan.
Yes.
Because it was in weeks 1 to 6 to be completed, and now it doesn't even start until week 6.
So you mean year 6, yeah.
So all the other
Yes.
projects that seem to be happening are all over at Queenstown Event Centre
Yes.
and Ladies Mile, which we're not even on the first long-term plan.
Fully understand there's challenges around timing and sequencing, and just because it's in the long-term plan, if we all know that if it's not in years 1 to 3, there is a possibility it can get moved at another
But
stage.
my argument was that it was in the long-term plan, it was in years 1 to 3,
Understand.
and it's not there, and that's what the issue is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to, we've had 4 or 5 minutes, so
Yeah.
but I really appreciate you coming along. As of us, if we can have the document that you've written today, your submission as well, and full understanding that the board is across this, you will help round out some of the knowledge of the board, and we'll continue to advocate really strongly along the lines in support of cricket, athletics and football.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can you just ask to have your contact details on that document so we can...
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. I've been liaising with Barbara, so no, that's fine. If you send it to me, Barbara, I'll forward it on and make
Okay.
sure that they can, team can speak directly to you.
So I've sent it straight to you.
Please do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers, bye. That was our public forum. We have a deputation as well, which is a slightly more formalised presentation. And Janet, would you like to come up and Janet's from the Wānaka Musicians Society, and she's going to be talking about the development of a musical playground, which we're thrilled to hear about. So, the floor is yours.
Good, thanks very much for your time today, very much appreciated. Okay, so my name is Janet Dolan and I represent the Wānaka Musicians Society as the chairperson. And as some of you may know, the Wānaka Musicians Society has been operating for more than 30 years. And the main aim of the society is to raise funds to further music education for youth in the Wānaka and Clutha region. And we do this mainly by holding an annual show called Stars and Rise, which I'm sure some of you will have been to over the years. And we run that in the Lake Wānaka Centre over 4 nights each September. And in fact, this year marks our 30th annual show. And over the years, we have donated a considerable amount of money to education and daycare facilities in the region to purchase musical instruments, and also to support the hiring of music teachers as well as individual music tuition. And we're also committed to the ongoing Jamie Robertson Scholarship, which is awarded to a MAC student each year to support them in their further music education once they graduate from high school. And whilst we believe that providing youth with musical equipment, with access to musical equipment and music education, will hopefully produce some budding musicians to enrich our already musically diverse community, we're also aware through various scientific studies, which I can supply if you would like them, that music education also enhances a child's ability to learn academically. So it's an important tool to support a child in their overall development, and we also recognise that it's an important tool to support neurologically diverse youth as well. We've discussed and agreed at committee level to investigate the possibility of constructing a musical playground in Wānaka, which is what I would like to pose as an idea to the committee today, in the hopes of securing a community space to construct such a playground. The musical playground would consist of specially designed outdoor instruments which can be played individually or together, and predominantly aimed at children and young people. We see an opportunity for integrated play with parents and grandparents alike. The specific size and amount of instruments would depend on the space that is allocated, and once this is established, we would seek to develop a plan for your approval. We've already allocated $20,000 from our savings towards this project, and hope to commit a further $20,000 from this year's show's profits. And we also have the support of local clubs who are willing to assist in fundraising, and there may also be other local groups that we can coordinate with that would be able to contribute also. And we believe that such a playground would be a real asset to the area, and hope that you're able to support this project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Janet, love the succinctness and the clarity that you put there forward, so thank you. I have some questions, but I'll open it up to others. Do you have a space in mind? Do you when you look around?
We don't have a space in mind. Someone had suggested Lismore Park,
Yep.
Ely Point. It really just depends on what fits in with the community plan.
Yep.
And we don't really mind where it is, as long as it's accessible to the community.
So my suggestion would be that about 3 or 4 months ago we passed the Lismore Park Reserve Management Plan,
Right.
or Reserve Development, which was it, Management or Development Plan. And within that space is right opposite MAC is a space that's been earmarked as a wānanga, so a place of learning,
Right.
and that is really meant to be sort of an outdoor learning space there, as alongside maybe a active parkour or adventure playground type space. So it's creating that part where there's some silver birches and right across at MAC.
Yeah.
It would seem to me that that would be a really good starting point
Absolutely.
for considering, because it's been earmarked there,
Yes.
it's in the plan, it's already in the plan,
Yes.
and it is about engagement, it is about youth, it is about tamariki, it is about learning. So
Yes.
I would have thought that would have been the first port of call.
That fits very well with, obviously what we, our target, I mean, the high school's right across the road,
Sure.
and, good
And it's on the
access
school
to
support
everyone.
route for the other schools to connect to it, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any other ideas around where a musical playground could fit into the community?
Through Mr. Chair, just on that, can you just confirm what sort of age group are you actually targeting? What for these? I've seen them in other parts of the world.
You have seen,
And,
I've got a brush here. if you'd like to
They
see.
seem to be more for the younger people
Well, it
rather than
depends.
the older students? I don't know if they'd be
Yeah.
that interested with it.
It depends on what instruments you put in. There
Okay.
are instruments which you would have in a kindergarten, but there was also one of the larger sets is specifically attuned to all play together with keyboards, bells, all sorts of things. So not just percussion or a couple of bells. And they're actually what I would hope in my vision, and we're actually going to consult with Matt at the high school just because of his experience with dealing with children and music as to what will be appropriate. But we're hoping to target right through from that younger age group, but specifically the high school age is where we see it has to be interesting and engaging enough for them to, and challenging enough for them to want to
Okay.
be
Thank you.
involved in it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Coming in time. Okay.
Awesome, and so great to see you putting so much work and effort and money into the training. Really grateful for all your work. One of the things I was thinking of is just to keep into consideration the spectator space of it. So if whoever was performing in that there is either a natural sort of bank or amphitheatre or a way that helps support other people watching as a more performative thing. So
Right. Yes.
because I can see it going really well orchestrally as a thing in harmony together.
Yeah.
It'd be a really great space. But love what you're doing. It's awesome.
Yeah. That's a great point.
So let's explore the Lismore Park option and
Yes.
either discount or not because it's sitting up there. And I think Chris and I could be good conduits for you. One, because Chris leads our sort of subgroup around arts and culture. And then I also do education and knowledge as well. So there's sort of the crosses over. And so I think both Chris and I can help you explore that a little bit further and see if we can make something happen.
Wonderful.
Great.
Sounds good.
Good to see you, Janet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. I'm going to confirm the agenda. So is there any requests for altering or additions to the agenda?
On your chair's report. The sculpture is actually through the Lakes District Arts Trust, not the Wānaka Arts. It was mentioned in my,
Oh, it's just
yeah.
Okay, so in the chair's report, you're seeking a alteration to your report to be clear about which entity is being referred to.
Yeah, it's just the WACT, is it the one that's listed as that trust, but it's actually the Lakes District Arts Trust.
Cool. Do you know what number that is in the chair's report?
It's
Or,
in my.
yeah, what number? Normally each of the paragraphs have got a separate number. Okay, cool. That's fine. We will just make a note there that that's a slight change there as to what entity the Lakes District.
38.
38. Any other changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I forgot when we addressed the item, but it was just one of the resolution for the arts agenda item. We're talking about location of art, which is delegated to the committee board. So in there it says it's noted that the committee board there should be, I would suggest it should be approved. We're approving the location, but that's what the delegation is. So that, I don't know whether we address that when we go to that item or now.
Okay.
Just address it there.
Okay.
Yeah,
There
we'll
might be
address
some
it at the
discussion,
item.
or
Yeah,
staff
cool.
may have some.
So the agenda won't change, but what the resolution that we pass may alter. So yeah, hold fire on that one. All good. Okay, and that other than Linda's note of the change of entity, I will move that the agenda be adopted and without further additions or alterations. Anyone else like to second that?
Sure.
John, I caught John there. All those in favour?
Alright.
Anyone against? We'll carry that. We last met on the 23rd of May and the minutes have been circulated. Has anyone got any changes or edits to those minutes?
I'll move that term record.
Very good. So thank you, Lyle. Lyle's moving that the minutes from our community board meeting on the 23rd of May are confirmed as true and correct. John Wellington is seconding that. All those in favour?
Aye.
I'll carry that. It's been a substantive bit of work put into this review of navigation and safety bylaws 2018, so we're looking forward to speaking to staff about that in a moment. We had sort of a precursor to that when we talked about the ski lanes at Royce Bay, and it's good to see some of this having evolved. So Luke and Carrie, you guys, we've got the full entourage. Luke and Carrie are going to come up and Luke and Carrie from the policy team. Oh, sure, we are going to get everybody. You guys couldn't hang back. Who's going to lead this from you guys?
So Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a few comments to start and then hand it down the line to the people who know what we're talking about.
Very good, Carrie.
Co-Carrie Williams, Stockholm Noah. I think most of you know who I am, policy manager. For context here, policy team coordinator review of all bylaws, but we're heavily supported by the subject matter experts. So the place is the principal policy advisor for leading this review, and we're joined by Izzy Lucas and
My hearing, I'd like to just sort of hear right so I can hear this.
So despite the length of this report, this bylaw is actually working really well, and the mandatory review provided an opportunity to address the set of errors from the last review and an opportunity to make any improvements. And I'd just like to address the amended recommendation that was circulated to the board last night, and the basis for this being that because we're not presenting the community board with a draft bylaw document, there is no document for it to approve. So at this point, what we really, really value is the feedback from the community board to put into that draft bylaw. Excuse me. And that there's key issues that are specific to the Upper Clutha community in this bylaw. We're well aware that it gains a lot of interest across the district, especially here. And just by way of next steps, by no means is this the only chance for the community board to put into the process. We would welcome and invite it to put a submission in when the draft bylaw is put out for formal consultation. But here today, it's really important that we get your input on the key issues outlined in the report. So, without further ado from me, Luke, do you have any other introductory comments before turning it over to the board?
Yeah, just nothing major, just I suppose pointing out that table 1 of the report provides a high-level overview of the key aspects of the review and the key issues that we've addressed in the report.
Yes.
So, yeah, really keen, as Carrie said, to hear feedback from the board.
And appreciate the amount of work that's gone into this, as we always do with staff. So, because it's probably the most substantive part of the meeting that we will have today, what I'm going to do, Luke, and you preempted that around table 1, I'm just going to go through each of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sort of items there, so we're not sort of going too backwards and forwards. It might be easier for you. So we will start with the suggested changes around life jacket use. Has anyone got an understanding that we're going to have quite a bit to get through here? So just open up for discussion or questions around life jacket use.
Deep question.
Go.
So just for clarification, are we going questions and deliberative discussion on life jacket use, questions and discussion?
Yep.
You would have moved to somebody else.
All right. Does anyone have any questions around life jacket use?
Through Mr. Chair, it goes into the definitions also. It really comes back to life jacket use. Now, it's the difference between making way and underway, and I see later on you want to take out the underway. Now, so that would mean that a boat out in the middle of the lake, stop there fishing, swimming or whatever, they don't have to wear their life jackets because they're not making way. So you're taking the underway out of the thing, and I'm just wondering whether there's really, what's your response to the fact that making it when it's making way rather than when underway? Because as soon as you're underway, you're not secured to the wharf or anything, and so like you could be anywhere on the lake underway, but not making way. You got any comment on that?
Yeah, well, I suppose what I would add is that making way is currently not referenced
making way or underway?
Oh,
So
sorry.
right, you take away
Oh,
underway.
sorry, underway, yeah, I heard myself there. So underway is a reference in the Bible. It seems to be a bit of an outlier. It's not quite clear why that is in there. So, and in addition to that, the definition of underway is within the Maritime New Zealand clauses that relate to life jackets either. So our approach is consistent with the Maritime New Zealand approach for managing life jacket use. But I'll turn it over to Izzy and Anto to see if they have any other comments on that.
No, it's not a may. I know from coming from the Navy, the law of the sea, the underway is a very significant definition in the law of the sea. And so when you, in Maritime New Zealand, if they haven't brought it into the lakes and that, well, that's fair enough. But it is quite a difference.
Yeah. No,
So you know what I'm saying, people can be out there having a party out in the middle of the lake or whatever, and anything goes wrong, but they don't have to wear a life jacket. That's fair enough. So I'm not making a fuss about it. I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yes.
And if you're going to remove it, then making way has got a definite meaning. So you.
I understand.
Yeah, the harbour master go out there, see a group of people, a whole lot of boats tied together, having a great old party, no one's wearing life jackets, that's okay. Cool.
Good, mate. Cody.
Why was there reluctance to not go for option C on the life jacket use with being basically paddle boarders with life jackets within 200 metres of shore?
Yes, so let me just go to that aspect of war. So there was the geographical based requirements. So the report in section 5.3 addresses that in some detail in terms of we considered aligning potentially the current 200 metre speed, 5 knot speed restriction. So when you're 200 metres from the shore or closer, there's a 5 knot speed restriction. So that in some degree that is alignment that would be efficient and effective, and that is explored in the report. But on balance, we think that 200 metres is a bit of an arbitrary figure when there could be other conditions that people find themselves in that could mean that actually it is appropriate for them to be wearing a life jacket whether they're within 200 metres or not. For example, the report goes on to talk about how there could be an offshore wind that pushes them further away from the shore quite quickly.
Okay.
You know that,
Cody, what's your concern?
Yeah, my point being life jackets are about 50 to 100 newtons of buoyancy. Paddle boards are about 1,000 to 2,500. So 25 times more the buoyancy than a life jacket is. And if you're wearing a leash, you're strapped to something extremely buoyant. So regardless of the, it often feels like there's a sentiment that a life jacket will help, but in the same way with surfing, if you're literally strapped to a buoyancy aid, it seems to provide the right safety thing to get you up out of the water and stay buoyant throughout any conditions. So personally, I don't see there being any practical reasoning to justify life jackets on paddleboards.
That's your point there. That's helpful, and I'm sure you're going to get this from others as well. So
Yeah.
Good point, Cody. You want to see, Cody, do you have anything else around that?
It's all for life jackets.
Linda?
There seem to be making just these floating devices that we have, for example, Albert Town or the outlet. It's wonderful to sit in the rubber inner tube and float down the river. But it's not covered by you don't have to wear a life jacket or a safety device in that situation, which I think is, because it's less than 200 metres from the shore. So, and you're floating down, what can be quite a torrent, and can be quite dangerous. I think there's real not clarity around that in the summer because sometimes the water inspectors do insist everybody wears a life jacket, and it seems that it's actually not really required by this law.
So the definition of vessel is reasonably broad. It does cover a number of different aspects, including I think things that are floatable, but you guys can add to that.
My understanding is the general interpretation is that a flamingo or a donut is a vessel for the purpose and they do require a life jacket. The irony comes is that you could swim down there without the need for a life jacket, but if you do have even a flamingo or a jandal or some inflatable jandal, you're required to wear a life jacket. So that, I mean, that's just an inherent irony, but it is being consistently applied that those things are vessels and you're required to have a life jacket.
Very good. Would you do anything else around the life jackets? Or we...
Not really, only to say that, you know, this has been addressed a number of times over the years. We've settled on a reasonably comfortable place that we take a slightly more tougher position around life jackets in our district than some other places in the country around paddle boards and things like that. But I think, generally speaking, we've landed, you know, we've provided the opportunity that people have the option of wearing a full wetsuit instead of a life jacket on a paddle board. We've, you know, you can also have one of those life jackets that goes around your waist that you can pull up when you need it. So that those people who are actively paddleboarding for fitness have an option that still meets the requirements of the bylaw. And as I said, it has been reasonably consistently applied for a number of years. So from my perspective, I'm comfortable where we are currently with the life jacket rules, and while I accept there's some other avenues, we're sort of open a can of worms by going into it.
I'm going to move on to ski lanes unless there's... Very good.
Just make one comment.
Sure. Yes.
Finance. And I think we shouldn't underestimate the water temperatures that we're dealing with. We're not like a coastal environment. For those of you who ever plunge in the lake, people who are on a paddleboard who can fall into the lake can panic in the cold very quickly. So I think that's another, you know, to Quentin's point.
Yeah.
It's a nuance that's quite relevant to this district.
Good point, one. I'll move on to ski lanes. Just everyone just raise their hand if they'd like to speak to the ski lane side of things. Cody, and then Lyle, and then Quentin.
Under the current laws and bylaw, is the only way to legally tow someone from any beach within a ski lane?
If you want to exceed 5 knots.
Yeah, so even if you're at the top of the lake and there's no one else around, it would still be illegal to tow from the beach. So I guess...
Just on that point though, a lot of people will go slowly away from the beach, towing someone, and then actively engage in the beyond 5 knots approach.
Yeah, I guess without marking further away, it's a bit, you know, but it's hard to tell whether you're 200 metres or 150, I guess. Why are we removing ski lanes and not looking at, there's a displacement of ski lanes. We're getting rid of them and not putting new ones in. We're shrinking a lot of them. What is the sentiment behind that? And then, let's, Andy Frown's in the question.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Are you thinking about increasing ski
spot.
lanes elsewhere to make up for the suggested change and depletion of the current ski lanes?
I know there's going to be a lot of pushback, especially around the removal of the Ely Point one, and I think a lot of it is around, you know, is argued around safety, which is fair sentiment, but I do worry that we head down this path of constantly being more and more restrictive, and you minimise the ability for people to operate safely, and so you increase the risk of them.
Have you guys recognised that we're
compliance.
pulling away and not providing alternative sites? Is that been reflected on internally?
Certainly has been reflected upon, and I certainly understand your sentiment around what you're talking about, but effectively there's been the option analysis there, and the recommendation is based upon reducing conflicts to ensure a safer place. It's not saying that it's an outcome that works for everybody. It's a difficult thing when you're managing a public space in that regard.
Yeah, another question I had written down. Of the respondent surveys, was there any capture of whether or not they used a boat or practice recreational water sports? Just to understand who we're getting feedback from and if we're capturing.
Sorry, can you?
I guess this is for the last, the end of last year's survey. Will there be any, for this consultation coming up for this bylaw? Formal consultation. Will there be any aspect of it that asks whether or not they're a recreational boat user and water sports user or not? Whether they're a swimmer, whether they use a boat?
I see.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I haven't really turned my mind exactly to what the questions might be in terms of formal consultation. We haven't quite got that far yet, although it certainly is in our project management in terms of moving towards that space. But I can certainly take that point on board if that's something.
Yeah, to further sort of explain the thinking a bit, I think we'll hear a lot from the people who are frustrated currently, and then after the bylaws in place, if we remove ski lanes, we'll then hear a lot from the people who, boaties and recreational users. So frustration is a powerful tool to motivate people to get involved, that is what I'm worried about, is the sentiment only coming from one section of the population, because there's a lot of boaties.
Following on from that, the one I'm querying is the Roy's Bay Waterfall Creek one. I know you say it's not marked, but I'm out there a lot, and there's a lot of water skiing done there. Not a lot of swimming. I'm just trying to understand why you remove that, and I'm still trying to understand why you say 400 metres from Ruby Island, which I don't know, you're on the mainland though, it's on the shore, isn't it?
Yeah, so effectively the gap between the island and the mainland means that when you put in the 200 metre restrictions from both areas, it generates that conflict in that regard.
Yeah, but you're still going to have people, even without a lane, they're going to ski there even if they start 200 metres out, and they'll still use that channel because they go around the island. Because you go where the shelter is.
For sure, and if they were to be skiing through that location and they were going through the middle, there's potential that they can meet within reason the 200 metre restrictions.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Sideways into that could be a bit of a conflict, and so it's outlined in that thing, in the document.
Yeah, I see that. If you're talking about, like Cody's point about removing them, but I just question that one because it's well used.
Anything else, Lyle?
No, that's it.
Just keep things moving, Quentin.
Thanks. And I'll just be reasonably brief on this. I mean, I just to reflect on Cody's point is that I think there will be some challenges here, and same with Waterfall Creek and Ely Point. I think the reason they are popular and have ski lanes is because they're two of the very few locations in the lake that have some shelter and are accessible from the shore, so that someone can launch the boat, the family can go and meet them for a picnic on the beach and ski from the shore. So they're unique in that respect, and particularly Ely Point, it is the only sheltered spot in a nor'wester, and that's why it's popular for, and don't get me wrong, there are some conflicts we need to manage there. There's boat launching, there's swimming, there's ski lanes. I suppose just to highlight that I think we do need to be proactive about finding opportunities for a legitimate recreational opportunity on the lake, and it's obviously a popular one. I'm a bit reluctant just to close ski lanes without providing some alternatives or some management. The Roy's Bay one, the one on the shore, we instituted a temporary closure over the busy period, and that's been reasonably successful. So I'm just pointing out there are other ways to manage it. Equally, there's people who go midwinter water skiing. There's no conflict at that point. So seasonal closures are valid as well, and we'll talk about that with the bridges, the bridge jumping as well, is that seasonality is a big part of conflict on the lake. Timing, so.
Very good. We keep things moving. Thank you, everyone. Bridge jumping, Albert Town bridge jumping. Who wants to speak to this? Yeah, no, Quentin was. I'm looking around. Cody?
Just a comment, I think I appreciate that it's reasonably practical, to be honest. I know it's a very divisive issue and that there's a lot of passion behind it, but the recommendations seem to be more around signage and ensuring the right lanes between the bridge, and I think that's the right approach to take with it.
Yeah. I know Quentin will have an alternative view, but I'm supportive of the approach that you're taking. My one suggestion is that if we are going to I'm obviously pleased that the downstream channel for boats is where it's visible, because most people jump obviously into the upstream so they can see it. I'm just wondering whether we have signage on the actual Upper Town Bridge. I know you're not putting jump here signage, but I'm wondering whether we need the don't jump here signage as well, because there are some people that do jump into the main channel and there. So I'm wondering if you could just think about, I know by having a no jumping there, you're implying that you can jump over here, which is effectively what we're doing. Just into that channel, should there be a sign on the bridge rail looking upstream saying do not jump here, because right underneath is where the boats are being asked to go. Quentin?
I'll let Lyle go first.
I just,
Sorry,
sorry,
Lyle,
Chairman. Now that we've had a formal safety report done, have we established some sort of liability if we don't do something now and there is an incident?
Yeah, so there is a section of the report which talks briefly to that point, and I suppose in a nutshell, we think that we understand that there is a conflict that could take place. That's the first step. In order to inform ourselves robustly in terms of what the options are available, what the risk is to people who are in the water once they've jumped. We know that there is a degree of risk that needs to be managed, and we've come up with a set of options to manage that, and we think that by following this process and getting this independent expert advice, we've met our responsibilities in terms of the range of different bits of pieces of legislation that we need to give effect to. In terms of the health and safety aspect, if that's possibly what you...
No, I'm just saying, we've got to a point, and if we don't, like I'm saying, if we don't do something, so we go to the status quo and just leave it as it is.
There is a risk.
Are we in a risk of liability of some sort?
Yes, so the Maritime Transport Act and the Bible together set out that we do have an obligation to manage such conflicts, and so the process that we've run here is trying to effect those obligations. So we think that possibly if there will be a risk if we don't.
Quentin, thank you. Keep us moving.
Yeah, thank you. Well, firstly, there's been quite a bit of assessment about the risk associated with this. Have you assessed the risks associated with all the other bridges and jetties and rock jumps and stuff in our waterways?
I suppose I can kick off the answer to that, but to be informed.
Do you guys want to speak to them or don't you?
Yeah, this has been raised multiple times, and I think by yourself and possibly you went at the last sort of discussion around this topic, but we haven't identified other bridges where we've got the conflict. I'll talk about the conflict in regards to the navigation safety side of things. We've got to be careful we don't go outside the scope of navigation safety, so it's potentially the vessel's relationship with people jumping. So we haven't identified that conflict on other bridges. And in regards to structures and whatnot, there is powers within the bylaw currently for managing those. So if you're in an area, for example, where the boom store comes in, it's an active commercial space that is signposted that you can't jump off it. So we're empowered to make those decisions. But when it comes to the Upper Town Bridge itself, it's obviously quite a unique sort of matter.
Okay, so the area above the Upper Town Bridge is currently closed. It's 5 months a year, is it? 1st of December through to
yes,
end of April?
there is a closure. However, there is still commercial operators that go up there as well.
So the risk we're talking about is what, with 3 potential users? So we've got 2 commercial operators, which we have a good relationship and are behaving themselves and are coexisting with floaters and users. We can get them to avoid that area. We use different parts, crossings under the bridge anyway without need for the bylaw. We've got a good relationship with them. The third one is the harbour master himself.
Just sorry on that point for that specific season. Like
well, that's when people jump off the bridge. With respect, the
dominantly, not exclusively.
Not exclusively, but if you, in terms of you're talking 95% plus within those 5-month periods, I would have thought. But yeah, I mean, I suppose to get to the point is that I think we're micromanaging a situation that doesn't really exist, because we've predominantly removed the conflict because we've closed that section of river. We haven't, the 3 users that are still there, we can manage and easily manage in a different way. I think we should value calculated risk taking in our youth, within a this is as we've seen from the community and the advocacy last time, that this came up, we'll see an enormous kickback from this, and I think it's an unnecessary door to open.
Can push pause there, you can take that into your deliberations, John.
Yeah, I just wondered, I mean, I see where Quentin's coming from, but it doesn't address the fact that people do ignore that fight, that's back closure, people are not aware of it. So there will be occasional motor festivals going up there. It seems a pragmatic approach just to put signage on a bridge to encourage people to go in the right place. It's not dissuading people from jumping in. To me, it's a pragmatic way of dealing with that risk.
You guys, we are here just to share insights, which we have done. We're not going to be making decisions, so hopefully you can take that all on board. We're going to move on to vessel identification. Does anyone have any questions or observations around vehicle vessel identification, Barry?
Yeah, I question the need for a policy for vessel identification. I think it's potentially a costly, very hard to manage exercise. There's no national requirement within New Zealand for boat identification. I know that the Jet Boat Association and some of the boat clubs have their own registration system as such, but we get a lot of people that come here as day boaters from other areas. If they're not aware of it and they get pinged $150, I think it's not going to go down well. I think, you know, to make the cost of communication awareness, the administration of it, the definition of what constitutes a vessel, the size or whatever that needs registration, just makes it unnecessarily complicated. Well, very complicated, and I think identification is unnecessary.
Thank you. Who else? Anyone else?
Following on from that, just a quick question then. If you did have it, where, maybe I missed it somewhere, where is all the data recorded? So if you want to get access to it, find out, you know, my name on my boat, how do you find that? Is it the ORC database, is it? Or
We're not looking at holding our own database, so it depends on the mechanism in which identification takes place. In some cases, there may be further need to rely on other people's databases, but we're not looking at holding our own one at this point in time.
so what's the purpose of it then?
So there's still access to different databases.
Oh, okay.
And the main thing is that we can identify the vessel. A lot of boats, for example, do have some identification already.
I'd support it if they had to pay a fee for to use the lake. A registration.
Yeah, day boaters. Anyone else? I'm going to move on to events on the water. Any questions or observations around events on the water? Cody?
It recommends adding some discretion to the harbour master about what can or can't happen on the lake when it comes to events. What clarity do applicants get to know if they're going to be approved or not?
I'll just go to the relevance section. Is that around whether or not they're required a speed uplift, or is it?
The status quo. The current provisions is that the harbour master is notified of some events, and especially if there's uplift and speed restrictions, temporary reserve, and area suspend. The recommendation adds the delegation power to the harbour master to basically deny some events on the water up to their discretion, or adds the discretion of the harbour master. I just worry that people running an event worry about, you know, if you get the harbour master on a good day, he's all good with it. If you get it on a bad day, he doesn't want it to happen. And people go, well, where's the real framework? And no, if I can't, then why do they get discretion?
I understand that level of discretion was there already, but more so what they're assessing are the conflicts on the water. So for example, if someone applied for an event in a certain bay that had loads of commercial operators, then they'd have to consider the different conflicts in that regard, or if there are any other events on at the day. So that would be the sort of scope, is around the navigation and safety element of how they intend to undertake their event.
Anything else around events? We're going to move on to safe use of the hardware wave. and any other miscellaneous items.
In terms
You go for it. No, go for it.
when it comes to the policy framework, there's always a question of like evidence-based assessment, and I wonder how much have you been provided in terms of actual infringements and other like evidence-based unlawfulness to validate the decisions moving forward. My concern is that a lot of it is driven by the sentiment of a few people who may or may not be supportive of the current rules, and that opinion overarches any evidence-based practice. So I guess it's more of a recommendation in terms of having solid data to fall back on to drive the decision making as much as the public consultation, if that makes sense. That's all.
I'm going to wrap this up very simply.
Yeah, just a brief closing comment. Look, I think this is a matter for evolution, not revolution. I don't think there's significant problems with the existing bylaw. We've made some inroads into how we educate and enforce, and made some tweaks around ski lanes and various things as you know, as is appropriate. I don't think we need to be making big changes here.
I'm going to ask someone to move a motion that we note the contents of the report and we note the development of this navigation safety bylaw. Barry's going to move that, and John is going to second that. Thank you for all the work you've done, and hopefully it's given you a little bit of a sense as where some of the, if you didn't know already, where some of the community concerns or observations may be, so it might be a bit of a litmus test for that. All those in favour of the motion?
Aye.
Anyone against? We'll get that carried. Thanks for coming and seeing us tonight. Final substantive matter. Jan. Looking forward to Korowa with you, Jan. We're going to be talking about this piece of artwork that's known as the digital artwork. We've been talking about that for a while now. It's coming to its conclusion, which is very exciting. Thank you for your report, which has been read through. Is there anything you'd like to add at this stage, Jen?
Thank you. I would like to make an amendment to the site. Since the report has gone out, I've continued working with Parks, and due to the development of this, we've come up with a slight change of a few metres for the installation site. There is some work to be done on the new site around planting and landscaping and possible beautification of that site. I'm happy, there is a map up on a few copies here if you'd like to have a quick look.
So that's
It's
great.
just moving on to the other side. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Jan. I'm going to open it up for questions and comments. Is Lyle?
Yeah, just a quick question. I look at the map, so just confirming, you moved to the other
So
side of the creek.
yes, just on to the other side of that creek.
There was only other point, Mr Chairman, I made that the allegation is for the community board to approve sites. Now, if we've got a new site now, I think the resolution should be changed to number 2 to approve the artwork that has been donated to be installed on the Wānaka lakefront with some indication of the site. That's rather than just noted.
Okay, let's talk about the new then if we are going to approve it. It's just across Stony Creek. Hope it uses a new bridge. To be in that area. Chris and Linda, you're pretty close to this. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree with the relocation, Jan. I think it's a really lovely area developing there, which the Kakano have actually cleaned up that waterway really nicely, and the planting that's been going on in there. It's a very peaceful space in there, and I haven't spoken with Chris yet as to whether the donor's happy with that location, because there was a very specific reasoning for that original location, but I think they would be very happy with that. I think it's a respectful place. It is on a busy part of the pathway, but I think it will be well respected, and I think it's a great place for it. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
The only comment I would make is that the donor was concerned that there are a lot of, that it's slight, in comparison to the original space, it's a little more crowded in terms of there are bigger trees and that sort of thing that do block the view, but I've also spoken to Diana, just with regards to the long-term plan for that area, to have done the work that they have done. There's more to happen, and even more is going to happen come spring.
So it may get crowded out on that other side anyway.
Well, the issue with where it's got, or the original side, is that there's a lot of stuff that happens there anyway. It gets crowded and there's peaceful space. The new site, there's nothing going to be happening. There's potential for some seating and or planting to make it a decent looking area. So I think that the donor, once we've got the plan in place and the trees have been trimmed and the area's been tidied up, he will be happier, or they will be happier with the potential of the site, should we say. And the last correspondence I had with him was just to say, let's get the approval from the board so that we can say yes, it's going to be there, and then we can move on to doing the improvements.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with both sites. The only thing I would think is that the new site, the view shafts of the lake behind the piece are much more restricted. Having said that, you then do get it in the context of trees as well, but its original location do have a much wider lake as a backdrop, but I'm comfortable with either.
It has actually been opened up, John. They've actually trimmed a lot of those trees, crowned it, and it's coming out to this little kind of a dell, sensible little dell here, which is.
But Adele's a nice location.
Really
it's
nice.
just in terms of the
It was
background.
really nice now.
Yeah, I'm supportive because I do know that that's a well-trafficked pathway down to the Wānaka tree and along there, and I just feel that more people will get to probably possibly experience it. I don't think it's going to, people are going to necessarily crowd around it, but I do feel that it will maybe cause a reaction or a sense of enjoyment from possibly a greater number of individuals. So that's hopefully one of the purposes for art. So I'm supportive of that transition across there, and it's well away from the path, but it's can be seen from that pathway. Jen, is there anything else so we'll just continue to move on. So I just want to come and John, we, under our delegated authorities, Lyle has suggested that we have the authority to approve the location. So if I suggest a recommendation to suggest a change to the what I'm going to move, and that is that we'll note the contents of the report that the artwork has been donated, and we've got 3, approve the location of the artwork to sit on the, would I say, the west side of Stony Creek, or how would we describe that? Yeah, the west side. If north is going up the lake, I would say, so yeah, the west side of Stony Creek.
I wonder if we should make mention in the Jan of the donated piece of work will be transferred into the Lakes District Arts Trust as ownership.
Well, it actually ends up under council.
Yeah.
So while we are the conduit as the trust, it will then fall under council's asset list as well once we, through the trust, take ownership of the
Is that part
artwork
of
and install it.
the agreement with the donor?
Yeah.
As a signed agreement
It's
or
been
something?
signed.
No,
Yes,
yeah,
we
so
have a signed
that's probably not
formal
necessary as part of that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to move that the contents of the report be noted, note that the artwork has been donated to the Lakes District Art Trust to be installed on the Wānaka lakefront, and to approve the location to the west of Stony Creek? John's going to move it, Lyle's going to second it. All those in favour?
Aye.
Anyone against? Wonderful, look forward to it. It's really going to, it's going to be a feature down here, and thanks for all your hard work, Jan, supporting that. We look forward to it, can't wait for it done by tomorrow. Yeah.
Not quite.
We look forward to it. We'll be nicely surprised when we walk along there and see it.
We'll send an invite so everyone can come along the
Wonderful.
invite.
Thank you, Jen.
all.
Thanks for your hard work. Last item before we move into a workshop session is the Chair's report. Thank you to everyone that contributed to showing the community our engagement between meetings. I had another meeting with Glenn the other day, and the airport master planning came up, so I'm going to take the liberty with Mike being here just to sort of maybe, Mike, just a high level overview of where we're sitting as around timings for the movement to more general community consultation around the future of Wānaka Airport.
Sure, thanks, Simon. Look, I mean, I think as outlined in the LTP document, consultation document, this year we're focused primarily on actually making the improvements to basically achieve the 139 certification that's required, and I think there's already work underway improving some of the hard infrastructure that's already out there, our drainage and what have you. So that's probably the key short-term focus. We are moving towards scoping up, and I think I've been clear in the past that the master plan to me is a subsidiary of actually first formally the council and community determining what the strategic long-term future of Wānaka Airport is. That's a piece of work that we will be focusing on this year, and we've started some initial sort of internal scoping consideration about what that process might look like. I don't have a specific time frame for that, Simon, at this point, but that is where the focus of this year will be. We'll be actually, and the Mayor's been very keen to ensure that in this financial year we actually do that piece of work. So that's probably the key focus for us at the moment.
Can I just clarify then, just to make sure that there is alignment, that you believe that QLDC and staff should be making some progress on the strategy for the future vision and strategy for Wānaka Airport before we go out and consult on them?
Well, I think there's a iterative process, obviously, but I think there will always be a degree to which the organisation will want to have some thinking, because it doesn't want to go out. In my view, it's sort of somewhat I suppose less than helpful to go out with a completely blank sheet. So I think there will be some sort of preliminary work done before we are in a position to engage with the community, but that's part of a process that we haven't designed at this point.
Cool. I'll share an alternative view to that I believe that going to the community with 3 high-level general questions to help shape the strategy and consultation document could be really, really effective. We saw that happening with the Mount Iron Reserve Management Plan consultation, where it was lent itself to easily putting dots on the map and what would you like there. And I think that was a really effective, low-touch way of just getting a general sense from the community and help create some key themes that I thought really helped inform the consultation document that's about to come out. And I just encourage staff to think about a 2-stage consultation process, with the first being high level, big open questions to then allow some of the staff deliberations to go out with a more defined consultation document, being informed by that. I'll leave that there. Who else has got questions around the Chair's report, or go?
I just want to add some things that I've been up to in my report. I attended the Cadrona River cleanup. I had a meeting with the Te Kura Otake Karawa School regarding help the scope of an active transport route for the school. I helped around some issues at the Albert Town track upgrade. There were some community issues. I had a meeting with Sports Otago regarding the sports hub, and I've attended all the 10-year plan drop-in sessions.
I just attended the Wānaka Search and Rescue AGM the other night. They've changed the chairman. Bill Day stepped down, and Rayward Calhoun has assumed the chair role. She, Quentin might explain, I think she's previously the secretary and been involved quite some time. Very impressive young lady, and she's quite interested at some stage, possibly through you as chair, whether she'd come and possibly have a chat to the community board and let them know how they're getting on. Big turnout at the AGM, very positive group. They do a lot of great stuff. I think last year they had the highest number of rescues. They did 33 and 28 in the short period over the Christmas period from November through to March. It's like, so they're very active, well organised, got a very good fundraiser. So they've got money in the kitty. So yeah, it was very, very positive sort of AGM, and we're lucky to have that organisation based here in Wānaka.
Indeed, the Prime Minister visited there 2 weeks ago, or when he
Yeah,
was here,
he
was.
He tapped one of them on the head who looked very much like him.
So I think that's really good about the search and rescue coming.
Yeah,
I'm
no, she's
doing-
very keen to,
And
at some stage, to...
Yeah, and as a board, without blowing our trumpet, I think we've done really well engaging with community groups, and I appreciate the airport, Queensland Airport coming out. So just another example of us, how us was reached out. I've also asked Fiona Brooks, the new senior sergeant or leader in the police here, she was going to try and come to this workshop as well. So that's another thing that's in motion for us to continue building those relationships between the community board and you know, other entities in the community. Has anyone got anything else they'd like to add to the chair's report or question? I'm going to get Cody first and then Quentin.
I was just saying that Chair's report's been a great way of people figuring out what we do, and I think it's helped influence in Community Services Committee. They're doing a similar thing, and it's giving people a lot of clarity on what's happening and updates, and we're I guess it's infecting the culture in a way of helping inspire a similar thing throughout. So I think just to commend good leadership in this, and you know, the more effort we put into this, it is ruminating throughout other areas where we can see opportunities to give updates to the community and provide that transparency and clarity. So just wanted to celebrate that.
Yeah, thank you. And a couple of things I really enjoy, because obviously not everyone's across what everyone's doing, so when I see what Linda's been up to, or I see what Chris has been up to, it's great. It's actually a way for us to actually internally go, oh, that's cool. And the other thing too is I do post it on social. I do get a lot of feedback too around, I think it brings to life that if someone can look at the community board agenda and go, that looks a little bit light, I think it helps the community understand that this forum we're in now is only one very small part of our role, and then when you add up 15 other community engagements over the past 6 weeks, I think it gives a little bit more balance to our role. I'll go Quentin and then Chris.
Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce, as we said, that there's been the 10-year plan consultation, the drop-in sessions, the number of us that attended. It's sort of been a mix, I would say a mixed response to those, and really just to call out to say that there's a few more of those coming up, and make the most of them, and also that don't be afraid to get in touch with elected members to discuss the 10-year plan over the next few weeks. A very important process.
Just following on a little bit from what Quentin said, in the last drop-in session, there was a comment made that very few people turn up to some of the drop-in sessions compared to those that actually want to talk to us. And yet what I would say is that we are talking to people on a regular basis. I know that all the time we're engaging with the community outside of the drop-in sessions, and we think that there's something that needs to be said in a more public forum, then they come here, or like Janet Dolan, I recommend that they come to a deputation. So I think there's a lot more going on outside of the formal side of the...
We just have to look at our inboxes, and we know that those communications are happening all the time for those that are proactive enough to want to actually really engage, and those channels are certainly there. Okay, Linda.
Just Simon, I'd just like to mention that I really enjoyed the Welcoming Committee's presentation the other day with Sylvia, and post thinking about that is also with the amount of growth of new people into our area, Clutha, is how we can engage. You know, I mentioned it to a client, for example, the other day, and his immediate reaction was, where can I go to get involved with this welcoming group? Because, you know, they really get excited about welcoming people into our community, but the comms are a little bit light in sharing it to a wider area within the district. So as we're getting more and more new people come in greater numbers, I'm wondering, you know, can we share maybe Sylvia's invite to the hui, for example, outside of just the community board, to widen that funnel of catchment for philanthropic, or, you know, just people who've got really good ideas to get involved with welcoming people into Wānaka, who have come here themselves and understand that that can be a tough little community to break into if you don't have children at schools, or, you know, other ways of engaging. And that hui I see as being a really important.
Yeah, I think I go through Sylvia. I think we saw that we were invited, but I think that's gone out more broadly. I just want probably just to do justice to her, to make sure that she understands that the people in the room are the people that are going to fit in with the agenda and stuff there, but maybe it is an open forum. So maybe going back to Sylvia, but you're right, it was very inspiring when we had our workshop about a week ago with Sylvia and Hemi and the team from Wellcome Communities.
I want to just say that our consultation session here last week, which I think was last Thursday night or something, was in this room with the Wānaka Community Centre, and that was their welcoming session that they do once a month, and they often get 60 people in this room just as an open door, come have a drink and share some food with us as a welcoming opportunity. So this community particularly are walking the talk in that space.
Okay. As it's my report, I'm move that the chair's report be accepted. Anyone like to second that? Thank you, Linda. Seconding that. Noting the contents of the report, all those in favour?
Aye.
We'll pass that resolution. Very good. 11 past 11, I'm going to close the meeting now, and I'm going to move straight into